Hello everybody, today I'm back again with another kind of rant video, this time about my own community, the art community. The art community is obviously far broader than the gacha community, so just to make it clear, today I'm going to be talking about the digital art and animation community today, as it is a subsection I'm in, thus I have seen and experienced a lot more with it. Some of these things can be applied to other sections of the community as well, but I'm just talking about things I've seen in my own little corner of everything. Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. So yeah, let's just get right into it. A lot of times on beginner artist pages, I see a lot of people saying, oh, but they're young or they're just starting as an excuse for them not having to face criticism, and I think that's rather stupid. If they're too young to take criticism, then they're too young to be online. The minimum sign-up age for most sites is 13, which a lot of people don't follow anyways, but I'm just saying kids shouldn't have social media for a reason. One, because it's detrimental to the kids themselves, having some of their most embarrassing moments plastered online forever, and two, communities as a whole suffer just from having kids in the audience. Like, I don't know. Kids being kids, they act outrageous and obnoxious and just generally in a manner that reflects badly on the community itself, and if enough kids gather, it eventually just completely ruins the reputation of said community. We've seen it so often with things like Undertale, FNAF, Homestuck, Gacha, and probably like a million more fandoms I can't be bothered to name. Anyways, I got kind of sidetracked there, but a lot of people see age as an excuse to tell someone they can't criticize something, which is dumb because you either take criticism or you just don't post anything. You aren't ruining anyone's ambitions or dreams by saying their anatomy sucks, and if regular criticism is enough to deter someone from pursuing a hobby or interest, then they just weren't cut out for it in the first place, because no matter what your craft is, you only get better through constant feedback. Believe it or not, positivity can hurt a situation. I mean, obviously it's not going to make anyone feel directly bad or get hurt or anything, but it's going to lead to an artist's skills worsening or just not getting better. There's a kind of problem with people trying to white knight the feelings of younger artists, and by young I mean like from 10 to 13-year-olds. You can't even be slightly negative in a beginner artist comment section. Any criticism has to be sugarcoated to hell and back, and it annoys the fuck out of me. Stop handling beginner artists with kid gloves because it doesn't help them improve at all. Even if you give them nice criticism, it's fairly ineffective sometimes because it just leads people to think along the lines of, I got positive feedback, so the mistakes I did make aren't as important. Positive feedback is nice, but let's be real, there's no urgency to fix your mistakes if that's all you're getting. I know from personal experience that harsh criticism is how you light a fire under someone, so to speak, and get them moving to fix their mistakes. For example, I used to draw my characters with really long legs, and for some ungodly reason, I thought that was okay. I got so many comments making fun of the legs and basically just roasting the shit out of my art, so I saw that I'm like, yeah, maybe I should shorten the legs. If I had only gotten a few comments saying, wow, your art's so good, but maybe make the legs a little shorter, other than that you're fine, it would have taken me a lot longer to fix my mistake because, let's be real, it wasn't just the legs, my entire anatomy was fucking ass. Criticism isn't supposed to be some kind of feel-good thing, and while it's nice to be nice, I guess, being kind in your critique is really optional, and I'm kind of tired of seeing people dogpile someone just for being honest. Obviously, there's a difference between being an asshat and actually giving rude critique. For example, being an asshat would just be spamming the artist page with "this sucks" or "you're a bad artist" and stuff akin to that without ever actually pointing out a specific issue. A good middle ground for giving criticism is something that's not exactly nice, but identifies a problem and isn't over the top. I'm speaking from personal experience here, and I feel like if you decide to post your art on the internet, you're just going to have to take what comes with it to an extent. Dealing with assholes are just kind of part of the job, so to speak, and while some people obviously take it too far, for the most part, there's always just going to be someone who's not going to like you or your work, but it's easier just to roll with it and not let it get to you on a personal level rather than just cry every time someone leaves a mean comment or dislike.
Shark. Pog.
There's really only one main person who's doing this as of now, at least that I'm thinking of, but it is still a thing that people just kind of do, mainly on Twitter from what I've seen. They see a drawing they think is too sexual or not diverse enough or whatever, and take it upon themselves to quote-unquote fix the art. I use the word fix here very, very lightly because 9 times out of 10 the art was not fixed in the slightest. The concept of redesigning others' characters in and of itself is already a really awful one because in doing so you're just completely disrespecting the original creator's designs, and it's like an entirely different issue when it comes to some of this race bending stuff that some of these people like to do. In terms of strictly character design, it's fine to give your opinion and critique on another person's design, you know? It's a completely other thing to just go and change it. Like, I don't know why you would do that. The main person I'm talking about here is one Twitter user named ZFixesArt who is prone to doing this kind of stuff. They mainly redesign, quote-unquote redesign, anime characters, but there's this one redraw they did of some of Creepshow's art. Now, Creepshow's art does have some flaws to it, I'm not going to deny that, but this is a bit much. Now, this person may or may not be trolling, but if so, it's a pretty dedicated troll, so for the most part, I'm just going to leave my commentary to the caption as a simple, what the fuck, this may be some of the most hypocritical shit I've ever seen, but then let's just move past that and focus on the part where I can actually apply this criticism to a broader audience, and not this one specific person who may or may not be a troll. The whole redoing art because you don't like it thing, it's just, in doing so, you're basically saying, hey, look at me, I'm better at designing, your design sucks, kiss my ass. Which of course may not have been the intention, but that's what it comes off as. Compared to criticism, which is just, hey, I think this character would look better with X feature, or X feature doesn't fit, could be this instead. And I'm talking about this in terms of regular design and not this race bending, weight bending shit. Either way, race bending is really unneeded. Obviously whitewashing is worse, but again, it's just disrespectful to do that to any race. And making thinner characters fatter, like, what's the point in that? Being skinny is literally the healthier, easier option for a lot of people, and it's dumb to act like being thin is some kind of oppression of fat people, which this person does do. While yes, you shouldn't make fun of somebody because of their weight, being obese should not be encouraged, and it's not fat-phobic to say that. God, the fact that being fat-phobic is a thing makes me want to fucking kill myself. Unlike race, gender, sexuality, etc., being fat is not something you're born with, and unless you have some kind of hormone disorder, it's usually fixable with enough effort, and it's also a health risk unlike the things I listed above, so yeah. Basically, the message this person is sending is that if your character isn't a person of color, fat, flat-chested, LGBT, or otherwise marginalized, they're bad and need to be fixed. While we're here, I might as well just critique their art too. There is a lot to go over here, but let's start with the proportions. Fat people, believe it or not, actually have feet and ankles too. For someone who likes fat people so much, I feel like you'd be better at studying their anatomy, but they aren't just blocks of leg. The anatomy is really inconsistent across their art, with sometimes it being passable and sometimes not. For example, this one. Look at the arms. Why is one forearm longer than the other? Not to mention the nose is just kinda sliding off the face. Z has a lot of trouble with noses, as you can see here, they're just kind of all over the place. In general, the bottom of the noses are typically aligned just above the earlobes and an inch below the bottom of the eyes. The top of the lip should not be above the bottom of the nose, nor should the entire nose just be placed smack in between the eyes. There's also like no eye whites, which I guess could just be chalked up to a stylistic choice, but in my opinion it just would have looked better with eye whites. No white eyes only really work in chibi or really simplistic styles from what I'm seeing, but again, just my opinion. On this piece, the head is really off-center, which irks me, and the arm here compared to the rest of the body is laughable. I'm assuming they just heavily reference the arms of the original image when, in fact, you can't really do that with characters that are two different weights or that have two different body structures. The characters' bodies are very boxy, and if you're trying to make them fatter, which I'm assuming you are, you're going to want some more curves. Alright, so let me clarify a few things here. I'm not talking about the animation meme compilations that actually offer like constructive criticism at all, or even just commentary, just any compilation that has any sort of transformative nature to it. I'm talking about the comps that are just like 10 plus minutes of back-to-back animation memes with like hardly any editing besides transitions and labels. Those annoy me. First of all, they're literally not transformative in the slightest. Like, even if you don't make money off the videos, all you're doing is leeching views, because a lot of the times, the compilations often get more attention than the original animations. It can be a good thing using them to help people discover new artists they like, but usually people don't bother going out of their way to search out the actual animator. A lot of animators do give permission for their work to be used in these compilations, but I bet a lot of it is out of the idea of getting free press when they don't realize that a lot of the people that see the compilation likely won't go back to their channels. And then there are the cringe comps, the ones with literally no commentary. Like, if you're going to make a cringe comp, at least say something, damn. Animation meme cringe comps, at least in the old 2016 format, have died down, but there are still a very sparse few left. From what I've seen, they just use stuff from videos that were posted back during like the peak of cringe culture. The Sans fangirls, the flip-a-clip furries, you know what I'm talking about. There's really no point in making them anymore. Yes, they were cringe. Yes, a lot of them were trolls, we know. Besides, it's just kind of lazy content overall. Like, all you need to do is search up animation memes, stick them in a YouTube to MP3 converter, and stitch them together in iMovie or some shit. You don't need to be like a master content creator to do that kind of stuff. Even when I was making those cringe comps, I always made sure to offer a slide with my criticisms and opinions, and over time my content has evolved past the lazy text box sprites, like, you know, what it is now. The people who still do those kinds of things are catering to a very specific audience that quite frankly needs to get with the times. While indulging in cringe culture was fun at the time, the definition of cringe has now shifted. OCX canon pairings, being in fandoms, cosplaying, being emo, none of that's cringe anymore. The real cringe are the pedophiles, aka maps, zoophiles, racists, and the miscellaneous dipshits on Twitter who think these are real and valid identities. While the golden age of 2016 YouTube is over and commentary is basically just fucking dead on this hellscape of a platform, non-transformative, non-constructive cringe comps are something that should be left in the past, in my opinion. Honestly, the idea of closed species in general just kind of irks me. Like, if you want to have one, sure, I won't stop you, but I personally don't find them very necessary. For this segment, I'm mainly going to be talking about the types of people who lose their shit if someone dares have an OC or another original species with similar traits to an already existing species. People who are chill about it are fine, obviously. It's just some of the people that participate in the community are just so up their own asses about it. Like, oh, this artist made a species that shares one very basic trait with my closed species, now they're a ripoff, a knockoff, an off-brand. Like, dude, first of all, people are allowed to be inspired. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Take their ass to court because they drew a dog with a food theme when you were the one that drew a food-themed dog 3 weeks ago and said it was a closed species? Also, you don't own any of the ideas unless you file for a fucking patent, and you will be laughed out of the courthouse and down the road home if you try to present a character trait sheet as an invention. And your ideas probably weren't even original in the first place because due to the oversaturation of ideas nowadays, pretty much nothing is wholly original anymore. While the thought process of these ideas can be completely unique and not inspired from anything, you can literally guarantee that someone else has thought of them before you, and then someone else had thought of it before them, and somebody had just come up with the same idea a few days after you. So yes, it is completely out of pocket for you to accuse somebody of stealing your idea because their furry had jello horns, but your furry had jello horns, so obviously somebody must have copied. And some of these people get their panties in a twist over literally the most basic traits, like certain body shapes or horn styles, whatever. Like, chill out, dude. People are allowed to make a character inspired off of somebody else. Inspiration is literally the foundation of art and design, and it can come from literally anywhere, which yes, includes your closed species. And like I said earlier, they could have been inspired from someone else's character or something else that wasn't a closed species, or they could have had it come to them in a dream, and like literally anywhere else, because, repeating myself once more, at this point nothing is truly and completely original anymore. People will always have ideas that are similar to yours and vice versa, so before you go making a call-out post on your twitter.com, it could do you good to remember that your ideas probably aren't as original as you think they are either.
Anyway, we have a new student starting today, so let's all put on a happy face for...
So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of this video. These are just kind of the main things that annoy me, so I may make a part 2 or something if I think of anything else. I'll probably get into the art community on Twitter too, because that place is a cesspool like the rest of Twitter, but yeah. Thank you so much for helping me reach 40k, by the way. I really need to do something, but I can't quite think of anything. I might do something fandom related, but that could take ages, so I might set off like a regular animation meme or something, I don't know. Anyways, if you like this video, be sure to hit a like and subscribe because I make a lot more content like it. It's free and refundable at any time. It really helps me out, so thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.